Have you guys ever found yourself in a situation where you're attracting the same situation into your life, or maybe the same type of person into your life, and you notice these patterns? You don't necessarily like them, but you notice them, and you're not sure how to stop it from happening. Well, I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about focus today and the power that focus gives us in our lives. We're going to start surface level, and then we're going to dig a little deeper, just like we always do. So, to start with, think about the power that you have in the gym when you're focused. All right. Imagine the difference between when you've got a friend with you, you're talking to your friend, you're running into people at the gym, maybe you're even watching some videos in between sets. You might notice you don't quite get the same level of work done as when you're alone. You're solely focused on the muscle group you're working, especially when it comes to mind-muscle connection. When you think about these areas on your body that you want to really bring up, that you want to grow, you don't grow those by not focusing. So for instance, say we're talking about the biceps. If I'm trying to grow my biceps, I am looking in the mirror. I am solely focused on my biceps, pushing the weight, pulling the weight, I should say. And I keep my mind on the bicep. So that way, that's what's doing the work. And ultimately, that's what's going to grow. So keep that in mind, because it's the same thing when it comes to our personal life, with the things that we want to see grow in our lives. Whatever we put our focus on is what's going to grow. So if we put our focus on the things that we don't like, or the people that drag us down, we are going to continue attracting more of that into our lives, whether we like it or not. It's just how quantum physics works. It's the law of the universe. What we focus on, what we give our energy to, is what's going to come back to us. So a great example of this is money. If we're tight on money, we've probably all experienced this at one phase in our lives or another. If we're tight on money and we're thinking every day about how tight we are on money, how strained we feel because we don't have enough money, you might notice that you stay in that situation and it drags out for longer than it has to. You might notice that you begin to come more and more from a place of not having. So a way to reframe that would be to focus on what you do have, to focus on the abundance. And again, the law of the universe is going to tap back in and more abundance is going to come to you. So on a general note, if we focus on what we're grateful for, or we focus on the good things in our lives, the vibration is going to be high. We're going to attract more good things. It's the same thing with everything in every situation in our lives. So my point is, don't put your focus on the things you can't have. Don't put your focus on the struggles you have. Of course, we have to acknowledge them so that we can get into solutions, but don't dwell on them, especially when it comes to people in our lives. If you notice that there's people that drag you down, and a lot of times this can be family members, and it feels like it's unavoidable, do me a favor and just don't focus on that so much. Focus on the things that bring you joy. Focus on the success. Focus on what you can have, and especially focus on what you're looking forward to bringing to yourself in the future. We have a lot more power than we realize, so don't forget that. You can actually control more of what's coming into your life by choosing what you focus on, okay? So on this same topic, I want to talk a little bit about creating the future using focus. So we might have a picture in our mind of who we want to be in the future. We might have a picture of things we want to accomplish, things we want to attract into our lives. And what we need to do is focus on that. Focus on that feeling. If you start to fall into focusing on not having it, just acknowledge that, stop yourself from doing it, and get back on track. Start focusing more on what it's going to feel like when that comes into your life. What is that going to feel like when you've stepped into those shoes? Focus on that. Feel that. You can actually feel the feelings of success, of happiness before they happen, just by imagining, just by focusing on what that would be like. I preach all the time about act the way your future self is going to act. Do everything in alignment with what's going to make that future self of yours happy. So for some of us, this is easier than others. If you feel blocked and you don't really know what you want for your future or who your future self is, I would recommend tap into the feelings you want to have. So I'm assuming it's happiness. I don't know many people that say they want sadness in the future. Focus on that feeling of happiness and focus on that feeling of success, and whatever brings that to you in your life, focus more on it. Fill your life, fill your days more with those things that bring you those feelings. We have to be general at first. We can't be super specific right away, or we get ourselves all twisted up. So focus on those things that are bringing you that feeling. Feelings are powerful. So just check in with yourself. Give yourself space in your day to check in with what's going on, how people's company is making you feel, how activities are making you feel, how your work is making you feel. A lot of times we feel like we don't have a choice when it comes to our work, that we just have to do the job we're in. But why do we have to live 50, 60 years existing in a job that we don't like? We don't have to. We just haven't given ourselves that space to feel the feeling of goodness and happiness. So give yourself that space. Know that it's not going to happen overnight, but chase those good feelings. And when I used to hear chase the good feelings, I used to think, no, that's not right. Because what I associated that with was instant gratification, getting an instant good feeling. But the truth is that doesn't really bring us joy. It brings us a little boost of dopamine, which we all love to feel. But I'm talking about these things that produce lasting positive emotions, things like exercise. That produces, if you do it on a consistent basis, a constant state of productivity, of happiness, of a little bit more joy in your life. So focus on the things that are longer lasting, not the instant gratification things, just the activities, the people, the real stuff that brings you those positive feelings, and fill your life with more of that. The other thing I was going to say is I've created a guided meditation for meeting your future self. This is open to you if you want it. I have put the link in the description of this video, so feel free to check it out if you sort of struggle with who is that future self? What do I want? Because remember, you don't have to be specific in the beginning. You don't have to know who you're going to marry, what job you're going to take, how many kids you're going to... You don't have to figure all that out. First, just start with how you want to feel. That's why I love coaching. I love working with people on looking in the mirror and loving how they feel. It's as general as that. You just have to love how you feel. And if you don't wake up and love how you feel, make some changes and focus very intensely on the things that are going to bring you joy. Last thing I'm going to mention is, I know I said I have a guided meditation, and that's super helpful. If you're unsure of how to do this, please check it out. It's going to be helpful for you. And I want to touch a little bit on inspirations and role models. They're not bad to have. They can be so helpful. If you're like me, you tend to get attached to ideas and you're all or nothing. So a lot of times in my life, when I found role models and I found people that I want to emulate and be like, I get really attached to them and I feel like I need to just embody that whole person. So I want to point out that it doesn't have to be that way. You have a very unique ingredient. Or set of ingredients, I should say. Your makeup is different than anyone else's. We all have special gifts, talents, and desires. So you have to take what you like from this role model, what you see that you want, take that and leave the rest. You don't have to be that person. Just choose those qualities that you know that you want to have in your future self and begin to pretend that you have them if you don't already. There's power in pretending, and I've said that before. If you're not there yet, pretend you are. For example, if you're a shy person, okay, and you want to be more energetic, you want to, connect to more people and be more bold and not be so shy, pretend you're not when you're in those situations. It will feel uncomfortable, and you can acknowledge that, but don't dwell on it. Again, it's coming back to that focus. Focus on what it's going to feel like when you don't feel shy, when you don't feel closed up. Pretend you're not. Pretend you're open. This can start with something as simple as a smile and looking at someone when they're talking to you. That's where some people have to start. We all come from different places. Before I started really living intentionally, I was self-conscious and I would look at the ground a lot. I would look away from people when I talked. And I had to be very intentional on focusing on taking people in, on looking at them in the eyes, connecting with them, and talking like what I had to say was important. I had to slow down. I had to think very intentionally about every word I used. And over time, that became a part of my personality. So if I can do it, you can do it. Okay? So there's power in pretending. Chase the things that feel good, not the quick fixes, not the instant gratification, but those feelings that are going to be long lasting. Things like connecting with your family, making memories that are going to leave you feeling good forever, accomplishments, things you love to do that bring you joy. Focus on those things and focus on the qualities that you like in people, and you'll attract more people with those qualities. So don't forget, you have more power over your life than you realize. Check out my guided meditation if you need to, and live intentionally. Pay attention to what you're focusing on and focus on the good things. Focus on what you want to attract in your life, and I promise you, everything's going to change.